Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Calm with Carlin, yoga and meditation for your everyday life. Today we've got yoga for recovery. This is great for athletes, anyone who trains really hard and needs a day to just go inward, get some deep stretches in, and really take some time to let the body recover. We are going to start in Happy Baby. You don't need any props besides your mat unless you usually like to use them for practice. And yeah, I'll meet you in Happy Baby when you're ready. Keeping the low back planted firmly into the ground. Bend the knees in towards the armpits and grab the inside or the outside edges of the feet. Find your happy baby. You can stay in stillness. You can find a little bit of movement, rocking side to side. You might straighten through one leg or the other if your body feels open enough for that. If you're feeling a little tighter today, like me, maybe stillness is perfect for you. Just take a moment here to find your breath as the hips gently open. Take one more deep breath here. When you exhale, really let go of anything that you don't need for your practice, anything that's not going to serve you as we go deeper into some stretches today. And then from here, bring the soles of the feet to the touch. Bring the soles of the feet to touch. Let the knees go out a little bit wider. Still feeling that hip opening, maybe feeling a little more in the inner thighs here. And just find a little tiny rock side to side. It's more the legs moving, not so much the torso. And then come back to your happy baby. And when you're ready, hug your knees into your chest, grab behind your thighs, and take a couple rocks up and down the length of the mat. Really take your time here, maybe feeling your core engage as you come to the top, taking a quick pause, taking more rocks than you normally would, just to kind of massage out the spine. Let it feel really good. Let your rocks get a little bit bigger every single time. And then eventually, maybe on your fifth or sixth rock, you come forward into a tabletop position, crossing the legs, bringing the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. Now we'll find some cat-cows. On the inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Feel free to add movement here. And then on the exhale, tuck the chin round through the spine. Press the ground away from you. It's my opinion that no class is complete without some cat-cows, so you'll always find me cueing these. Really good opportunity to warm up through the spine, to open up the spine. And let go, especially in the cat pose, of any tension that you might be holding in your upper back and your neck. If there's something you'd like to add here, maybe it's a wrist stretch, maybe it's a child's pose, feel free. We'll do a couple more rounds, syncing your movement with your breath. Every inhale is your cat pose with that tailbone lifted, the gaze forward. And every exhale is that cat pose, super rounded spine, that rainbow shape. One more round here. And once you're ready, come back to a neutral tabletop position. Walk the hands slightly forward of the shoulders. Spread the fingertips nice and wide. Turn the elbows forward so the inner arms are facing away from you. Grip the mat, tuck the toes, and lift the hips up to the sky. Find your downward dog. Now, like I said, I myself am feeling pretty tight today, so I'm keeping a bend in my knees in my downward facing dog to start. Just give yourself a couple moments here, a couple breaths to settle in, to focus on the gripping of the hands on the mat, to focus on the tailbone lifting up to the sky. and to focus on the heels reaching down towards the ground, no matter how much of a bend in the knees you have. Maybe from here you bend your knees even more, lifting the heels, taking the chest to the thighs. And then as you lift the hips, start to straighten through the legs. You're in this really deep downward facing dog. Feeling this stretch all along the back body, especially the calves. Feel free to find movement, bending through one knee at a time as you straighten the opposite leg. And then keeping your feet exactly where they are, start to walk your hands towards the back of the mat. We'll find a forward fold. Start in a ragdoll position with the knees bent generously. Grab onto opposite elbows and use this as an opportunity to let go of tension. Tuck the chin to the chest. Start to lean forward into the toes. Trust your balance. And maybe as the knees start to straighten, you get even deeper into that back body. From here, we'll find a twist. Bring the left fingertips in between the feet, but slightly forward. So your big toes and your thumb are creating a triangle shape. Bend the left knee as you straighten the right leg and reach the right fingertips up to the sky. Option to stay here or find a half bind, bringing the right fingertips around to the left hip crease and focus on really pulling that right shoulder back, finding the opening in the shoulder. Take 2 breaths here. And then when you're ready, re-lift that right hand if you find that bind. And then bring the right fingertips down. And we'll switch it out. So you tent the right fingertips to create that triangle with the right thumb and the big toes. Bend the right knee, straighten the left leg, and reach the left fingertips up to the sky. Option to stay or find that bind, in which case the left hand would come around to the right hip crease, really focusing on opening through that left shoulder as you feel that stretch in your left IT band. One more breath here. If you found the bind, slowly make your way back the same way you came into this. And then bend the knees and start to walk the hands out back to your downward facing dog. And from your downward facing dog, take a breath in stillness. Big inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. And then on your next inhale, start to rock forward into a plank pose. From your plank pose, engage your core. Option to drop the knees as we slowly lower down to our bellies. Take your time to get there. When you arrive, bring the tops of the feet down to the ground. Bring the forehead down to the ground. Press into the palms. Take an inhale. Find a baby cobra. Make it really tiny. Focus on pulling the shoulders back. Focus on lifting through the chest, even if it's just a couple inches. And then exhale, bring it back down. Bring the fingertips a little bit wider so they're on the outside of the mat. Elbows lift up to the sky. Take an inhale, press into the fingertips and the tops of the feet. Lift a little bit higher this time. Inhale here. Exhale, come forward. And then one more time, inhale, find your cobra pose. Maybe you lift to your highest point. And then exhale, find your downward facing dog. Amazing. Let's get into some stretches here. Take an inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. As you lift the right leg up to the sky, focus on keeping the hips squared down and try and drop that left heel a little bit closer to the ground. Feel that stretch so good. Take an inhale here, lift the right leg 1 inch higher. And on your exhale, step the right between the hands. Keep the left hand planted, keep the left leg lifted, and reach the right fingertips up to the sky, finding this open twist. As you pull the right hip back and the left hip forward, feel that stretch in your right hip. Feel the twist in the torso. And then from here, bring the right hand to the inside of the right foot and start to walk yourself to a forward fold facing the long edge of the mat. Just a regular forward fold here. Dropping the head Shifting your weight forward into the toes. The wider the feet are apart, the easier it will be to get the head closer to the ground. However, that's also going to increase the tensity in the inner thighs, so do whatever feels good. And then start to turn the right toes forward again. Walk yourself back to that lunge pose. Hands frame the right foot. Drop the right knee, drop the left knee rather, and bring the hands to the right thigh. Now stay upright here. And as you sink forward, keep the belly engaged. Resist the urge to really round through that low back. Try and keep the tailbone tucked. Feel this stretch in your hip flexor. Option to stay here, option to bring the left foot to the seat and grab onto the left foot with the left hand. Still sinking just ever so gently into that right knee. Stay here for a breath. Feel that opening in the front of the left leg. And then gently let go. Bring the hands back to frame the right foot. Tuck the left toes, lift the left knee up, and step it back just a couple inches to create some more space. From there, start to straighten through the right leg for your half split. Flex the right toes towards the face. Take an inhale, lengthen the spine, look forward. And on your exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Maybe you come flat on the hands. Don't worry about your range of motion here. It's not about how far you fold. It's not about range of motion. It's about feeling that stretch in the back of the right leg. Now from here, start to point the toes towards the mat, almost like you want to touch the toes to the mat. Maybe they will. Maybe you've got that flexibility. And feel that stretch in the front of the leg. And then slowly repoint the toes towards the face. That flexed foot will bring the stretch back to the right leg, the back of the right leg. And stay here. When you're ready, start to come forward into a lizard lunge. That means the right foot will come closer to the edge of the right side of the mat, and both hands will come inside the right foot here. Now stay and breathe for just a moment. You can stay here in your lizard pose, or you can find a pigeon, wiggling the right toes over towards the left wrist, finding an angle that feels good in your right leg. The closer the heel is to the center of the body, the easier, more accessible rather this will be. The left leg is long behind you. Take a minute to be upright here. Feel the lengthening in the low back rather than a crunching. And then when you feel ready, start to sink forward. If this is uncomfortable in the knee, feel free to take this on your back, crossing your right foot on top of your left knee and hugging the left knee into the chest first. That's intentional. Feel that opening, feel that discomfort, and embrace it. Use your breath to get through these next couple moments. Make sure that left hip is gently pulling towards the ground rather than opening up towards the left side. And then as you're ready, I'm sure you're ready, start to bring both hands in towards the center of the body. Tuck the left toes and lift the right leg up to the sky, opening through the hip for an open three-legged dog. Maybe you draw some circles with the right knee or the right ankle, and then take them in the opposite direction. And then drop the right foot, and we'll take that on the other side. Inhale, left leg lifts. As the leg lifts, focus on the right heel reaching towards the ground. Inhale, lift up 1 more inch. And exhale, take the left foot in between the hands. From here, right hand, really struggling with body parts today, like for real. Right hand stays planted. Left fingertips reach up to the sky. And think about pulling that left hip back as you feel that stretch. Stay here in this twist. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, bring the left hand forward to the inside of the left foot. Start to walk the hands towards center as you bring the legs out wide. This is where I hit something, like my head hit something. You know what I mean, not like an anger thing. Interlace the hands behind the head, behind the body, and start to bring them up and over the head. Forward fold, with a little bit of a shoulder opening this time. There's my window. All right, now start to bring the hands back down to the mat. For me, this is Operation Don't Hit My Head on the Windowsill. Staying low as you come back to your low lunge. And then from there, dropping that right knee, bringing the left foot closer to center, and bringing both hands on top of the left thigh. Now start to sink just a couple inches into that left knee. It might come just slightly forward of your left ankle, and that's okay. Mostly the front of the right thigh or hip flexor. And then if you want, you can bring the right foot in towards the seat and grab your right foot with your right hand as you gently sink forward. Just intensifying the stretch in the quad. And then slowly let the right foot go if you have that in your hand. Bring the hands to frame the left foot. Tuck the right toes, lift the knee up just an inch, and send it back a couple inches for space. Untuck the toes again, and then start to straighten through that right leg. Take an inhale, gaze past the left toes, keeping the spine nice and long. And on your exhale, fold forward. Maybe the palms come flat on the mat beneath you. With those toes, you should be feeling this in the back of the left leg. We'll switch it up for a breath or two. Point the toes away from you. Imagine that you could touch the big toe to the mat. Maybe you actually do. And feel that stretch in the front of the left leg. Beautiful. Now reflex the toes towards the face. Stay here in this fold. And then rebend into the left knee. Bring the left foot to the outside of the left edge of the mat. Bring both hands inside of the left foot. And you're in your lizard pose. This is enough of a hip opening. Just stay here. If you're looking for a little bit more, you'll find your pigeon pose. You'll wiggle that left foot over towards the right wrist. Find an angle that works for you. Again, the closer the left foot is in towards of the body, the more acute your angle is. See that geometry? The more accessible this will be. Press into the hands as you lift up through the chest, lengthening through the low back. And when you're ready, start to bring the forearms forward. You know what they say, there's always a geometry lesson. I definitely say that. Again, if this does not feel comfortable in the hip, more so in the knee, you can find that supine figure 4. A little bit of discomfort in the hip is necessary because we're going pretty deep here. And our hips are sensitive little babies. So if this feels like a lot, it's supposed to. Just breathe through it. A lot of times when things become stressful in the body, we stop breathing. We do that in life too. Really focus on those long, deep inhales and exhales. Just another breath here. And then start to walk the hands back in towards the center of the body. Find that tuck of the right toes, lift the right knee, lift the left leg, and open up the hip, drawing some circles with the knee or the ankle, and then taking those circles in the opposite direction. Beautiful. Now come back to your downward facing dog. And from there, drop the knees, bring the knees wide, sink the seat back towards the heels, big toes come to touch, and find your child's pose. So in your child's pose, think about really walking the fingertips forward, maybe even lifting the forearms off of the ground just to feel the shoulders a little bit more. At the same time as we're stretching the shoulders, think about relaxing them away from the ears as well. That's not where they live. Keeping them nice and open without tension. Walk the right hand towards the top right corner of the mat and then bring the left hand to meet it. Maybe it rests on top. And find this side body stretch, pulling the left hip back, the right hip forward, lengthening through the left side of the body. Walking the hands towards the left side of the body, left side of the mat rather. Right hand comes on top, right hip pulls back. Feel the lengthening in the right leg. Right leg, like what am I talking about? The right side body. Back to school brain. Hold it here. Come back to center just for a breath. And then slowly come upright. We'll find one more forward fold. I'm going to come to the long edge of the mat. You can just sit wherever you are. Bring the left foot in towards the right thigh, inner right thigh. We're going to take two versions of Janu Shirshasana, our seated tree pose. For the first variation, we'll keep the hips square towards whatever edge of the mat you're facing. We're going to take a side body bend variation here. So first option is to bring the right forearm to the right thigh. Second option, if you have the space, is to bring the right forearm inside of the right thigh so it's resting on the ground. Take the left fingertips up to the sky and then reach them towards that right foot. Notice that I'm not crunching here to get my foot and my hand to touch. I'm just staying nice and open. Really picture like you're reaching beyond that left foot, right foot. One more breath here. And then start to square forward. You can find your traditional Janu Shirshasana, or you can bring the left hand to the outside of the right foot. Left hand crosses on top to the left side of the right foot. Maybe bend the elbows to pull yourself closer to the knee. Take 2 breaths here. And then slowly make your way back through center. Take your time to come up. And we'll take that on the other side. Left foot to the top left corner of the mat or wherever you're seated. Right foot comes to the inside of the left thigh. And your hips are staying squared towards the edge of the mat, whichever edge you are facing. First option is to bring the left forearm to the left thigh. Second option is to bring the left forearm to the inside of the left leg. Reach the right fingertips up to the sky. And then find that side body stretch. Nice, gentle lengthening. Reaching beyond that left foot rather than crunching to get those fingers to touch the feet. And then you know your options here coming into this second side. You can find a regular Janu Shirshasana, or you can bring the right hand to the outside of the left foot, cross the left hand on top to the right side of the left foot, and maybe bend the elbows to pull yourself a little bit closer in this forward fold. And when you're ready, slowly take your time to a seated position. You can lie down in Shavasana if you'd like. We're going to end in Supta Baddha, or not Supta Baddha Konasana. We're going to end in Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet to touch and the knees outside. Sitting up nice and tall from here. We'll end in 5 deep breaths together. Take an inhale. Exhale, let it go. We'll do that 4 more times. Last breath. beautiful option to gently let go of your Supta Baddha Konasana. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Check out lots of other videos that I have. Comment below how you liked class and what you'd like to see next. Follow me on Instagram at Calm with Carlin, and I will see you next time. Namaste.